Okay, hello there guys, welcome back to another VB.NET tutorial, and today we are going to work on our accounting system. So in the last video we created the database, and you can see the database by going to the Server Explorer, and you just open this one over here and you'll find the tables, and each table, some of these tables have some records in them. This first. Also we have the Excel file over here which shows the development steps, and this is the Excel file. Right now we are 70%. This is our progress. Okay, I'm gonna add something here. Okay, one of the things that we want to add is to add a setup for the application. So basically you want our application to have a setup for easy installation later on. This is going to be kind of easy, so no worries there. Okay, also just a reminder, we wrote few notes, we wrote few modifications. We added the definition of the tables here. This is the accounts table, this is the receipts table, and the account statement, and so on. So if you wasn't able, if you couldn't create the tables or forgot the SQL statement for them, you could create them from the Word file, and you can always download the source code from the website. Under each video you will find the link for downloading the source code. Okay, so let us continue our work today. Let's go to the development step to see what we are supposed to do next. So here we need to create the database abstraction layer. Okay, now basically database abstraction layer will make things a little bit easier when we want to work with transactions with the database. For this reason I'm going to create a project over here. So I'm going to go on the solution, right click on that, select add, and I'm going to say new project, and this dialog is going to appear here. I want to select I'll use Visual Basic here, and you'll find the project types available over here. I will set a class library. Okay, I'm gonna call this a project. Let's say lib.db. Okay, so you could call it something like that, and I will click OK. So now we have this lib.db, and it doesn't have any user interface. It will just be a DLL, and it will manage the connectivity with our database management system. Okay, so what do we want to do in this project? Basically, I'm gonna rename this class. Okay, many people would move that, but I'm gonna rename it. I'm gonna call this database manager. Okay, I'm gonna call this database manager class, and Visual Studio is asking me if I want to rename the class itself to match the name of the file. I will say yes. Okay, so what does the database manager consist of? So first it should consist of a connection object that links to the database. So I'm going to say public connection obj as system data SQL client, and we have connection, SQL connection. That is wonderful. Also, what do we have? We need to have a transaction object, transaction obj as system data SQL client dot transaction. Yeah, we need these two guys. In addition, we will store some other information over here that will include public connection string. Okay, a string. This is going to be empty one. This is going to be equals nothing. This is initialization, so as soon as the object is being created here, I will set everything to 0. Okay, and I will add more numbers here as time goes on. So, what do we need to do when you want to open a connection to the database? You need first to have a method that opens a connection to the database and initialize everything. For this reason, we are going to create a function. So public function open database connection. Oops, connection. There you go. So open database connection, and I will pass a parameter here by ref error msg as string. So I'm going to pass error message by reference. So the way we are going to work is as follows. When we are working with databases, the first thing that we want to focus on, or the thing that we want to focus on the most, is that if the method works correctly, it will return true. If it doesn't work correctly as expected, it will return false, and the error details is being returned to your program using the error message parameter. Okay, for this reason I will put a try catch. Okay, so if everything goes well, we should at the end return true. Okay, so here some work that should finish without error. In case any problem happens, maybe write some helpful debugging information and then return false. This is the general structure of the functions that we will have. Okay, so the function usually executes some code. If all goes well, it will return true. If there's a problem, it will return false. Okay, so what do we want to do here? So the first thing to do is we need a connection string. So we'll say connection string equals, and what is the connection string right now for this local database? So basically you could click on the database in the Server Explorer, and in the properties window here you will find the connection string. So you could just come over here and copy the connection string and paste it in here. Okay, so now we have the connection string that is being used to connect to our database. Very easy. And then next, first get the connection string. Okay, and next we will need to open a connection to the database. Now create a database connection object. So we have connection object equals new SQL connection, and we need to pass the connection string. There you go. So here we have the connection string. Okay, and then connection object dot open. So this will open the connection string. This will open the connection to the database, and then begin transaction. Okay, this will open the transaction. So in this case, I'm going to say transaction object equals connection object dot begin transaction. Okay, very easy, very straightforward. However, what if there is a bug, what should the application do? Well, you'll get an error. The error will be returned in this error message. But at the same time, to make our life easier, we are supposed to log the error into a file so that we could read that and later on figure out what to do. For this reason, we could write the following: system IO file dot append all text. Okay, so application. This is the simplest thing ever. Application. Oh, I cannot find. I don't have the application starter path, so I will use something like maybe a fixed path, for example. So I'm gonna say here. Sorry, I'll just put something in the log. Let's see log right now. Log.txt, or maybe just make it c.log.txt. This is for just for debugging, and I will add the ex.toString and db new line and db new line. Okay, and we return nothing. Okay, so if there is any problem in this code, it will write. It is going to write the details of the problem into the C drive on in a file called log, but I don't think I have access to log. Maybe I need to put that in another folder. So for this reason, I'll go to C drive, and where is this? The C drive, and I will add a folder here called log. Okay, so this is log, and we're going to use that. Now, we created this very simple function. Okay, maybe we could put the 1, 2, 3, and Visual Basic will write this one. Used to open a connection with the database. Okay, if successful, then this function returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. Okay, so now we need to test this one. And if you have a look here, you see that we created a test project, has some documents, but in addition it has a form. The documents are not compiled, these are just for us, but this form could work, and we can test this library over here. So I'm gonna double click this one. I'm gonna add a button here, so I'm gonna say button. Oops. So I'm gonna put this one now. Okay, just to make our life easier, I'm gonna make this test OpenDB. Okay, now we want this project to have access into lib.db. In order to do that, we will right click here, select add, and select reference. Now Visual Studio will ask us which type of reference should we add. The framework means the library that Microsoft made available for us. Instead, we'll go to solution because we're going to use our own library. In this case, this one that has have access to the database. So I'm going to say click OK here, and now we could say dimension db as a new lib.db. Okay, wait a second, maybe I'll say this lib.obj. Right, what's the problem here? Let me see. Oh, sorry. Dot database manager class. Okay, there you go. It's database manager class. So now db obj dimension error msg as string equals nothing. Now we are going to open the connection to the database. If dbobj dot open database connection, I'll pass error message. Then now if this one returns true, then message box success. This means that our program managed to open a connection. Otherwise, message box fail, and the new line and error message will display the error message beneath that, followed by critical or OK only. For this one, I will say or oops, OK only or information. Okay. So we have this very simple test. Let's see if it works. So let us run this, and we hit this, and we have a success. So we are able to connect to the database. Now let us make something wrong here. Okay, let us make things fail. So let's go to this one. I'm gonna create a problem. In this case, I'm gonna say dimension z equals 0, dimension k equal 22 divided by 0. So this is a logical error that will cause a problem. So now let us see what is going to happen. Okay, so this code is going to create a division by 0. So I click here. Oops. Oh, is the optimizer working? If the optimizer is working, then maybe this is why it accepts these values. As integer, oops, integer equals, wait a second, let me see, this is the properties of the project, compile. I think the optimizer is working. If the optimizer works, then in that case, I'm not sure. Let's try this now. It should not work. Okay, now you get a fail. As you can see here, now you are getting a fail, but we are not getting the message. So our code has a little mistake in it. So here, so if you have an error, we forgot to say error message equals ex.message. So we get the message or the error message from the exception. Now the reason I'm focusing on this one is that we want our program to help us when there is a bug. When your program is big, you don't want to keep searching for the bug without finding it. With this technique, you will be able to figure out where the bug is much more quickly. So let us try this now. And we click here. Arithmetic operation resulted in an overflow because there is a division by 0. This is first. Also, the second statement should have added the error to the log. So you can see here there is a log.txt. If we open that, you can see the error here. So system overflow exception, blah blah blah, at, and it gives you the location of the error in the open connection, in which line of code. Okay, so this is very helpful because whenever there's a problem now, we could go to the specific line that's causing a problem, and relatively we could find the error quickly and fix it in no time at all. Okay, so let's put everything back the way it was. Don't want to make any error when we open the database. This is the first thing. Now, the next thing that we want to be able to do is writing commands or executing SQL commands onto the database, right? So here I'm going to say public function execute SQL. So we have the SQL statement, and we have a random number of parameters. So you could pass a SQL statement without any parameter, or it could have 100 parameters over 3 or 1 or 2. Okay, so for this reason I'm going to use a param array which tells Visual Basic that this is a variable number of parameters, PRM, okay, as object. Okay, so we will pass a number of parameters. We don't know the type of these parameters, and this function, well, actually, I will not. Actually, I will not put a try catch, so I'll make this a subroutine. This is just a subroutine over here. Okay. So here we have PRM. Okay, there you go. This is now. We need to create a command. I mentioned cmd as a new SQL client dot command. Okay, and the command should have a connection equal connection object, and the command itself dot should have a transaction equal transaction object, and the command itself should have a SQL or text equal the SQL statement. And now the last thing that we need to do is to add the parameters. Okay, so here we define a variable in order to loop on the parameter I equals 0 to PRM dot count minus 1. Okay, another reason we are doing this, we are passing the parameters separately, is that we are going to use add with value, because that protect us from SQL injection attacks. And here we are going to say cmd.parameters add with value. So here we have the parameter name. So in this case I'm going to say i.string. Sorry, it's going to be at. This is going to be the parameter name, and the next one's going to be the parameter itself. So it's going to be PRM of I. Now, you might be wondering, what does at alone followed by i.string? Now, let's say you pass 3 parameters. So this loop will go through 0 to 2. So I will be first 0, then 1, then 2. Now, when I is 0, this is a string, and the value of 0 get converted to string. So the first parameter name will be at 0, and you will put the parameter. This tells the program to put the first parameter in the variable at 0, and then I goes to 1, so this will be at 1, and then I goes to 2, this will be at 2, and so on. Okay, this is the basic idea. Now, the final thing to do is we say that cmd.execute any query. Very straightforward, not difficult at all, but just make our life much easier. So now used to execute an SQL statement. Wonderful. Okay, so now what should we do with this one? We could test it actually, but let me add another thing here. Public sub commit. So I might want to commit a transaction. I'm going to say transaction object.commit. There you go. And then we want to make the transaction object dispose, the old transaction object get disposed, and then transaction object equals connection object dot begin transaction. So after you commit, you start a new transaction here. Very straightforward. Now used to commit a transaction. Okay, and also we want to roll back a transaction. So public sub rollback. Okay, and then it is going to be the same thing here. We copy. This is gonna be rollback. Very straightforward. So we cancel all the changes and go back to the way it was. Rollback transactions. Okay. So rollback transaction. Okay. And one last function is following a data table. Let us try to do that. It's not difficult. Let's do that, and then we try to test. Public function full data table. So here we have SQL as string, and we have param array PRM as object, followed by as data table. Wonderful. So it is gonna be the same thing here, almost the same thing here. Okay, and dimension TA as new table adapter. Sorry, SQL client table. SQL data adapter, there you go. And we have to say ta.full, and I have to pass a data table. So for this reason, I'm going to say dt as a new data table. Okay, I'll pass the dt followed by, wait a second, one of these need to wait a second. We have cmd dot. Oh, wait a second. ta dot command. Okay, so the select command is this one. Okay, so this is the select command, and then we have ta dot full dt. Okay. So after we are filling this, we are supposed to dispose things, right? So we have cmd dispose, we have ta suppose disposed as well, and finally we return the table adapter, not the, sorry, the data table. I'm sorry. So here we are creating a table data adapter first, and then creating a new data table. So the table adapter will get the command, execute it, and fill the data table, and then we dispose the command and table adapter because, or the data adapter because we finished with them. And that's it. Let us test this one. This is the most important one. Actually, all of them are important. So here, used to get records from the database. Okay, so before I start doing anything, let's go to var. I think we have some variables here, right? So I'm going to say show table data just to see. We have counter and 1. So let us try to test that. So let's go here. Let us add a button. There's a button. Okay, wonderful. Okay. So I have this one. Now the name, I'm going to say get values from the database. Okay, so here I am going to, okay, if you have any error, I will exit the subroutine. Okay, no problem. And then I will just put this in try catch because it could throw an error. Okay. So here I'm going to say dimension dt equal db object dot full data table, and this is going to be select star from what's the table name? totally forget. Okay, from bars. Okay, so this should return something. And here I'm going to say MSG box dg dot rows of 0 dot item of 0. This should return the variable counter name and db new line. Make this as a set. This one's already a string, and followed by dt.rows. Sorry, forgot to add this and dt.rows of 0.item of 1. Love it. So this should work perfectly well. And yeah, after you finish everything, you say dt.dispose. We always need to dispose the data table, otherwise we'll have a very leak. And let us try to run this and click here, and you can see that our code is working perfectly fine. We have counter with the value of 1, so we return the values. The test is working perfectly fine. We were able to do everything without a glitch, without a problem. Okay, I will assume that executing a normal command will work without a problem as well. Sorry, where's that? Where is this? Is database manager? Okay, sorry. So I will assume this one and this one and this one are working fine, and these are basically, or this is basically the class that we need to work with. One last thing that we need to add in here is the closing database method. So here I can say public function close database. Again, by refer msg as string as boolean. Now you might be wondering why I put try catch in the open and the close. I'm going to add try catch in open and the close, but I didn't add to these other guys. Well, these other methods are going to be used. We're going to use them inside the special try inside try catch, but the other ones like open and the close will work outside them. Okay, this is why they need their own try catch. Anyway, you will see things more clearly later on. So now we have a closed database, and the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna say me.rollback. So we're gonna cancel any transaction, and running a transaction, we'll cancel that. And next, we are going to say transaction object dot dispose, and then connection object dot close, and then connection object dot dispose. Finally return, otherwise return true. So if any problem appear to be happening, then we are going to log the information. So we put the code here. It is straightforward. Okay, this method is used to close the database, returning an error message if a problem happens. Very straightforward. So in our test code over here, we are supposed to do the following. We are supposed to say, okay, if db object dot close database error message, then msg box db closed successfully. Else msg box error closing database line and error message. Okay, so we are going to open the database, we will display message, and then we are going to close it. So we could try this out. we click here, okay, success, and okay, DB closed successfully. So opening and closing the database is working fine, there is no problem there. Okay, so we finished few things here. Few things here. Let's see our progress. So we managed to create the database abstraction layer. I gave it a weight of 2 and weight of 2 here, and right now we are 22% in our progress. That will be all for today. Tomorrow I'll be working with creating the classes for variables and statements and the other ones. Thank you for watching, and wishing you a nice day. Bye bye. So we will save this one here, save that, okay, and now we are going to stop the project recording.